Welcome to another edition of Tuesday Tent Talk. I'm Brian with Fred's Tents. Today we're talking with Scott Woodruff, founder and creator of the Tentox. And in the rental industry, the tenting industry, we're always looking for that next great thing. And I'll tell you what, you've hit a home run. Talk about the Tentox.
Well, thank you, Brian. Well, the Tentox is really just a reaction to the difficulty I had running my business of ultimately 29 years, Event Central in Pennsylvania. And it was really trying to develop systems and processes where we could automate as much as we could to make the job for the crews easier, less stressful, maybe take away some of the grunt work that we deal with. And in the process, it all started on a Toro Dingo with a much different system than it is now, and it evolved into the series of machines starting from a lift of 700 pounds up to 2 tons. And then the next step in that process is it's a hydraulic power plant that's mobile on an articulated loader, so it's very turf friendly. And now you start to think about the different attachments that you can run with the machine. So that's the beginning of it.
And how many different machines do you currently have? You talked about from 700 lifting power. What can you get up to?
So we can, with the smallest machine, the 200, we'll lift 700 pounds. So that's going to be people that typically move a little bit of block. They do 40 wides. They can do a 60 wide with it, both center pole raising and driving stakes and a little material handling. But as they get into 60 wides, they typically need something heavier. Then it goes to 5, 6, 7, and 800 series. When you get to the 800 series, you probably have huge amounts of flooring or stage, palletized equipment where you're using the machine to move large quantities, great distances between the truck and the site where you're going to be setting up the tent, and therein reducing the labor to do the same thing, or being forced to take a truck someplace where it may not belong. So the high end would be about 2 ton on the lift of the machine.
So 700 to 2 ton. All the attachments, obviously stake driving, stake pulling. Talk about some of the other additional, there's multiple attachments to be able to utilize.
So that was the original foundation, was stake driver, stake puller, wasn't doing much forklifting, and center pole push for 60 wide. It's evolved into a number of things. First one related to that is as we get into structure, we're getting into roof panel pulling, so that we're replacing anywhere from 2 to 6 people pulling 2 lines with a machine that's taking the brunt of that work. We also get into odd things such as moving carpet with the machines. With the advent of water being replaced by concrete, we have 2 different types of concrete moving equipment for large ballast, which is grabbed from the top, and block and roll, which is the most common system out there for picking those up. It gives a precise way to pick material up without having the hanging, dangling from a chain or a webbing, and basically it's all built around a foundation for safety.
Okay, fantastic. So it's not for every company. You've got smaller companies up to larger companies, but it all depends on really labor saving is a big one. Obviously, one thing that everyone talks about currently is finding labor, and it certainly is not the end-all solution, but is definitely a great way to help. But it also, safety-wise, is just taking it to a whole nother level as well. So anything you'd like to add?
I think the other thing is there's different things that drive a purchase. For example, there's a lot of people in our industry that it's been their life, and they own their business, and they get up into their 60s and plus, and they still like going out on the job. Well, when it comes to our business, when you get to the size you typically get, going out gets harder and harder because the tents get harder, you're lifting less. I'm 68, and with the machine, I can go out on any job because I'm using the automation. I've seen people that retired back into the office that don't go out on jobs anymore when they got the machine and COVID had hit and they were forced out into the field. I've seen people go out and not even start to realize how easy it was now that they have that capability, but they were forced into it, but they ended up having an experience they enjoyed and not tapping out their bodies, basically. So
fantastic, fantastic. Well, for Scott, I'm Brian with Fred's Tents. It's another edition of Tuesday Tent Talk. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.